Appreciate the opportunity to talk with you all today about a topic that is at the forefront of a lot of discussions these days, as Agile development seems to permeate so many areas of the IT world. I really enjoyed doing these presentations with CAI and ITMPI, the great IT professional, because it gives us an opportunity to throw some new ideas around and get some discussion going within the professional community. I sat in on one yesterday on servant leadership, which was well done, and it's servant leadership is something I think there is not enough of in our arena. So I think they do a great job of bringing interesting and important topics to the forefront. So why this topic? Why Agile estimation? Well, like I said, Booz Allen has been growing in our software development capabilities over the past decade, and it's fairly significant. We were seen in the past as more of a strategic management consultant, but as we've grown in this area, we've been able to have some pretty good impact. We've done that and evolved into the Agile world as well as clients start asking for those types of capabilities. Some interesting things happening. For example, we received a request from a potential client asking for our organizational velocity, and at that type of thing, and knowing what Agile estimation is about, it didn't make any sense to me. And it seemed to me that there's a misunderstanding of what that meant or how that should be used. In another situation, we were working with a client, and I was doing an independent estimate, and came up with my range using some methodologies that we use here, and they had their estimate, and looking at the comparison, theirs was extremely aggressive compared to what I had come up with. And I said, well, what did you guys do? How did you come up with this? They said, well, we took our velocity and figured we could probably improve on that by about 75%. Justification whatsoever. So, you can see there's a lot of potential for trouble out there when you get into estimation and perhaps from a way that may not be the most appropriate way to address things. So I wanted to take a look at Agile estimation, take a look at the way things are done and look at some of those vulnerability points and maybe come up with some ideas that may help with those areas. So we're going to start out with a couple of key estimation maxims that I believe are very important to keep in mind when you're talking about estimation methodologies. I go with typical, quote-unquote, typical Agile estimation, which is kind of tongue-in-cheek. General hypothesis about Agile estimation and some of the challenges that we encounter with that. And then discuss a supplemental or possibly alternative approach depending on how your Agile estimation approaches work for you. Two key estimation maxims. A maxim is kind of an expression of general principle that holds generally true in most situations. Any approach to estimation should be a means of communication that you have with your business owner, your client, the organization that you're doing the development for. And this is key because we need to be able to understand and explain the consequences to our cost and schedule when requirements or development conditions change. Yet to be involved with a software development project where there has been stable requirements throughout the entire process, particularly in Agile. It's intended not to be stable. So being able to communicate what's going on with the project, what our initial budgets were, and what changes when those requirement changes really helps with expectation management and customer buy-in, both of which are critical to your project success. I know we don't like to hear this, but size matters. And typically where we go wrong is sort of equating level of effort or hours with size. If you're doing estimation with software, it is really a best practice to base it on some sort of sizing unit that is independent from an hours. And estimating in level of effort hours does not enable effective communications. Hours is not a unit of size. For example, if I was to, estimate how far Baltimore is from Washington, D.C. is, and I say it's an hour and a half, and the person standing next to me says, well, it's only an hour. How do you reconcile that? That's really dependent on so many different things. Maybe it's how fast I drive. Maybe it's the type of car I drive. There's so many different things. We can go back and forth till we're blue in the face, and I can stick with to my guns and say it's going to take an hour and a half, and you can say it's going to take half an hour or an hour, and it's very difficult to have an informed discussion about that. But if we talk about it in unit of measure that's more relevant and independent of level of effort or hours, have effective communication. So if I say it's 45 miles, then we can take a look at that and determine if that's right or not, and have an informed. For example, if you're going to build a house, you've never asked a builder to give you a 10,000-hour house. You discuss it in terms of square feet, which enables effective communication. You know what you're getting if you ask for a 2,500 square foot house in general. And takes is up to the contractor. Two key things here. Enabling communication, making sure that we're discussing things in terms of size. Let's talk about typical Agile estimation, which of course is really probably a unicorn, which makes sense given what Agile development tries to accomplish and how Agile techniques are implemented. A typical approach doesn't really exist, just like our pink unicorn here. Look at the Agile Manifesto. It values individuals and interactions over processes and tools. And one of the 12 principles is at regular intervals, reflect on how to become more effective. And then you tune and adjust its behavior accordingly. So gives a wide range of options for Agile teams to approach estimation with. Do what works for you. Use the approaches and techniques that are effective for your organization. And we know this because Agile estimation methods vary widely, and they are adopted and then adapted by Agile teams. There's all kinds of different approaches: ordering protocol, big, small, and certain t-shirt sizing, affinity mapping, story points, dot voting, all kinds of different ways. But I would argue that two key concepts are consistent across all of these methods. That's the idea of team collaboration and iteration. That these types of estimates are done as teams and are done in an iterative manner, whether it's by sprint or within sprints or however you have it structured. Simplicity's sake, I wanted to focus on story points for this discussion. We can't cover all these Agile estimation techniques. Story points are fairly widely used, so I thought that would be a good way to focus in on sort of the Agile concept in general and have an informed discussion about that. So, high-level process of what an Agile estimation method might be using story points. You start with a backlog of user stories, and these are really user requirements that are really written from an end-user perspective, short descriptions of a desired function or feature. So it explains what the person would like to do with the system and accomplish. Often it's explained or often it's expressed as a user of system, I want this feature so that I can accomplish Y. This is often